All right, now I'm going to show you how to draw some cabinet oblique pictorials. We only spend one day or so doing obliques because typically engineers, normally we're going to draw an isometric when we're trying to show it to a customer, but we still need to know what they are just in case, because occasionally an oblique is the better drawing. So we've drawn two-point perspectives. Now we're going to draw a cabinet oblique. We're going to draw a cabinet oblique of this problem right here. Now I want you to notice currently right now what it's given to you. It's giving to you in the isometric view, that little 3D view, and we're going to take it and break it down into here as an oblique. Now there's a couple of things I want to show, make sure you understand about cabinet obliques. There are two types of obliques that we commonly use. There is a Cavalier oblique, there is a cabinet oblique. And if you'll notice by looking at the two examples we have here, the Cavalier oblique, everything is exactly at the same scale. So if it was 8 squares, it's going to be 8 squares. That's just the way it is. So everything, your vertical, your horizontal, your depth, your width, height, everything is going to be the same. Now, if you'll notice it, compare it to a cabinet oblique, though, it kind of looks like somebody pulled it and stretched it out. Kind of like a Lance Armstrong, the little stretchy toys we used to play with. So instead, our engineers figured out a long time ago, drafters, that, hey, if we draw it correctly, it's going to look this way. Well, the customer doesn't understand that that is numerically correct. It's not visually correct. They don't understand what we're trying to communicate. So then that's when they figured out, well, if we do a cabinet oblique and we cut it in half, it looks more realistic, and when I'm showing it to a customer or I'm showing it to my build team, they understand what it is that I'm trying to get them to build. So on a cabinet oblique, everything that's going horizontal, everything going vertical, that means side to side, up to down, is going to be 1-to-1 normal, just like it is over here in this view. What changes your depth? Anything on that 45, we half it. So whatever it's going to be, it becomes half, so that when we half it, it looks more realistic looking. And I'm not going to show you how to draw every one of them, but I'm going to show you how to draw a couple. So let's go ahead and we'll draw this one down here. Okay. Oh, we would if I had the graph paper here. Yikes. Okay. Well, the graph paper didn't print on this piece of paper, so I can show you here though. All right, step one. Step one is I need to figure out what's my height, my width, and my depth. So I'm going to count and look. I'm going to count my squares. So if I count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 squares this way. It's 1, 2, 2 squares up, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares in the depth. So from my corner right here, I'm going to measure down 4, because if you look, it says double the scale. So I'm doubling my scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6, so doubling a 6 is 12. And so I'm still just blocking in that front view. All right, now we're going to need to get our right side view and our top view. To do that, we need to know what our depth is. Our depth is 4. Now, would we normally double it? Yes, but since it's a cabinet oblique, it's going to stay the same. So if I was going to double it, it would become 8. So because it's on a cabinet oblique, I got to have it. So it's going to be 4 squares back. So 4 squares an angle. And then I'm going to follow that back. The way you get your 45-degree angle is simply by cutting each one of those squares right in half. All right, so there we go. And now let's zoom in a little bit more so you can see. So I've drawn, blocked it in, right? There we go. Now I need to transfer my view. So I'm simply going to look at it and count again. I'm going to go, okay, my front view, I'm going to look at it and it goes over 1, 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's that first line right there, right? My right side view, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so 1, 2. There's that piece there. All right, I know the line comes back, so I'm going to bring my line back. And because everything is getting on that angle, I'm going to half it right here. There we go. Okay, good. Now I need to finish it. Come back on that angle. And there we go. There it is. And now I can go back and I get my triangles, and I go back and I make it nice and pretty, because I always start off by sketching it. Everything always starts off by sketching. You sketch it, you get it the way it needs to be, make sure you got it approximately all right where it needs to go. Then you get your drafting tools, go back, make a nice, dark, and pretty drawing. It's a basic drawing. Let's try drawing. Let's draw this one. I'm going to zoom back out. This is the one on the back here. There we go. So I'm going to start it by blocking it in. So I'm going to come right here, and again, it's double the scale, and it's still a cabinet oblique. So that means anything on that 45-degree angle is going to be half. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count my number of squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm blocking it in. Step 1 is always to block it in. Just this case, we're going to make like a glass box we can see through. Our depth for the right side view is 1, 2, 3, 4. So there it is. Draw back on the 45. So I've blocked it in. Okay, so what I've done is I've blocked it in. Now we need to draw it. This one's a little more complicated, but we can go ahead and start drawing it. So I'm going to look at my front view and go, okay, 1, 2, and it's a straight line straight down, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, because I've doubled my scale. So there's that straight line right there. Okay. Next, I look at it and go, well, okay, next I need to come over 1 here in the corner. So I'm going to come over 1, 2, and I'm just going to start at that part. Okay, I'm looking from this bottom right-hand corner. It comes up 1, so I'm going to come up 2. And it's something kind of like that to start with. I'm looking at that because that's what I see in the front view. Now notice I haven't made anything dark yet. All right, let's go back to our top view. My top view, I see 1, 2. So 1, 2. Something like that for my top view. From that back corner end, 1. And it says from this corner piece here, it comes over 1. So again, I'm kind of slight sketching it in. I'm not darkening it in yet. I'm just getting from there. My right side view, same thing. I look and I go, okay, well, it says, all right, I come up 1, 2. I come in 1. Okay, it's kind of something like that. All right, now I still need to try to finish this front view here. And I look at it and I go, well, if I'm looking here, I can say there's a hole missing. So that tells me there should be a free empty piece of, well, essentially a piece right there. So ends up looking something like that. So I can come back and go, there's that piece. And remember, get your triangles and use those. Let those help you make your drawing. When we're drawing pictorials, sometimes you may feel the need to shade, and there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes you need to shade so that you can better see what it is that you're dealing with. So there's like that piece, that chunk missing off of it. You may want to shade that side a little bit just to make it a little easier for you to see, because sometimes as soon as you start shading it, it shows up. You can see it. And so we just continue to go through that process. So on this one, I do the same thing. I read the instructions. Double scale, cabinet oblique, and I simply count and measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm doubling it, so I'm going to go all the way 20. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, that's easy enough. Then I'm going to count again, see how many squares across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's going to be 18 across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So first thing I'm doing, blocking this in, getting my block it in, getting where it's going to fit. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in depth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in depth. Remember, just cut it back on that line. And there's my box that everything's going to fit in here. So here is my invisible see-through box that everything fits into. I'm going to use my yellow just so you can see it better. And then I do the same thing. Again, I'm using my counting, using everything to help me figure this out. So I know this comes in 1. So since it's double, it'd be 2. And from this corner 1, so it's going to be double, so it's going to be 2. Down 1, so 1, 2. So I'm kind of sketching it in, remember? Sketch everything in first. Then go back and make it nice and pretty. So there's my first regular part right there. And I look, okay, from that corner it goes down 1, 2, 3. So doubling that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2. 2 in, so it becomes 1, 4, 2, 3, 4. So there's kind of like my front part of that C. Use my yellow so you can see it a little better. Remember, we always draw everything nice and light first, then we go back and make it nice and pretty and dark. So here's my first part of the C. I'm going to darken it in so you can see a little bit better. Now, we need to make it three-dimensional, so we need to look and see what is our depth. How much does it come back on the depth here? How much does it set back? So it sets back 1, 2. Again, cabinet obliques means we half it. So even though we're double scaling it, it's still going to stay the same. So I'm going to come back 2. That would be 1 from this corner. Where are you? 1, 2. 1, 2. So from each one of these points, I'm measuring over 2 squares. And I'm measuring back on the angle. If I was doing it here, I would go 1, 2, even here. Just to help me kind of get a visual aid for where it's at. Then I connect those 1, 2s. I forgot to do one here. There you go. So those would be here, here, here. So there's all my little points where I came back on the 2. And again, shade it if you need to, make it easier for you to see. Sometimes when you shade it, it all of a sudden starts to make a little more sense. And then I'll look at it and go, okay, well, it's my next step. My next step shows me that it's like a big old giant box. It's on that side there. Okay, well, where does that start at? Well, it's going to start back at 1, 2, 3 back. So 1, 2. Now from that corner. And we just start drawing it and getting it from in there. So you just have to kind of look at things, start blocking them in, and start drawing them. Again, I'm not going to draw all of them. So what we're doing is we're simply practicing and taking those views and breaking them down and putting them into. Some of them I've given you an isometric for you to look at just so you can kind of have a visual aid before you started drawing it. So I've showed you what it kind of looks like in 3D. You just have to take it and break it down into its pieces here. Remember, we're dealing with a cabinet oblique, which means anything that's on that depth on that 45 gets halved. That way it looks realistic. Because remember, that's the difference. Cavalier kind of looks stretched out, looks funny. Cabinet oblique, it looks correct. So there's that same drawing. Here it is as a Cavalier. Here it is as a cabinet. And of course, here it is as an isometric. And yes, isometric is more realistic looking, but we're still learning just to practice. This one, I took it, I blocked it in. After I blocked it in, remember, I blocked it in. Turn on my little yellow. Kind of hard to see on yellow, I know, but I block it in first. Then after I blocked it in, I went in and I measured the points. So I just took everything here, transferred it into my view. I transferred it into the top, the front, and the right side, and then I played like a game of connect the dots. Same thing with this one. I did my box. I figured out what the sizes were. I drew my little box, and then I started transferring those measurements in there and drawing it and creating it so that it fits in there. The biggest problem most students have with this one is make sure it goes back on the 45. Okay? All right. Congratulations. You can do this. We're going to go through and we're going to draw the cabinet oblique drawings today. Next, we're going to practice isometrics, and we're going to spend 2 or 3 days on those because those are the predominant ones that we draw the most of.